Welcome to Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. Today we have Carrie Balkcom. She is the president of the American Grassfed Association. Carrie is going to speak with us a lot about grass-fed production in the United States. Carrie, how are you today? Are you good?
Thank you, Luis. Yes, very nice. Thank you. And I'm the executive director, not the president, but just make that distinction because we have a board of directors and we have a chairman of the board. So I'm going to acknowledge that I'm the executive director in the office and run the organization for that part of it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So we have seen for the last few years that there is very trendy in the US from the part of consumers that they want more grass-fed meat. And what would you attribute for that?
Well, the consumer has become very knowledgeable about their food choices in the last, say, 10 years. So they're seeing how animals are raised. They're seeing that they're voting with their dollars about how they want their animals raised, how they want their meat to taste. Environmental distinction on raising animals on pasture and not plowing up grasslands to plant crops. So putting animals back on pasture in their natural setting, eating what the animal was evolved to eat, which is forage. So it's all come about just basically during the revolution of, say, the internet and social media. And that before that, it was a little hard to find information. And the other thing too is that for many, many, many years, everybody thought that animals were 100% grass-fed, and they're learning now that they're not. That there are other ways of production. So that's what's happened, I think, in the last 10 to 12 years.
Well, I would like that you talk a lot about the production standpoint because many farmers in the US are not used to grass-fed cattle. So how does that work? Have you been a grass-fed rancher for a long time? How do you raise your animals? Tell us a little bit about that.
The production method, the production method is the animals were always started on pasture, and then they were sent to feeding lots to be finished on grain, corn, soya, and we're finding that model with the extra inputs, with having to haul in feed and the antibiotics that the animals are given to keep them healthy, is just not sustainable in this world anymore. It's probably a more efficient way of raising animals, but it's not better for the animals. And having all those inputs, then you have to do something with all of the waste, and you don't have natural settings. These animals are in yards where there's no grass, and they have to be misted to keep them cool. So I think that the production method has always been there. It's just now they're taking it all the way through the life cycle of the animal. Before they would raise them until about 6 months, 8 months, somewhere in there, and then send them off to feed yards and then slaughter them at about 14 months. Where a grass-fed animal isn't harvested until they're about 20 to 24 months. So it takes longer, but it's better for the earth because you're not having to feed them soya and grains and corn and things like that, which make the animals not sick, but makes their rumen, that makes their stomach acidic. So they have to be given things to make them not acidic. So it's better for them to eat what they're designed to turn cellulose into energy. So that's why. We started in 2003 when the consumer started realizing that there was a better way to do this, which is not sending animals to feed yards and leaving them on pasture for their entire lives until they went to harvest.
And how much more expensive is that to produce?
Right now, it depends on your market. Because you're holding those animals another year on pasture, you've got to weigh that into the cost of production. It's a slower growing animal, so it takes longer, so you have to work that in. The cost can vary depending on where you are in the country, when you're harvesting, what your grasses look like, whether you're having to supplement with any other forages, if you're having to bring in hay, haylage, silage, or baleage. A lot of variables, but probably, I would say probably as an average, probably 20 to 30% more expensive. Just the
But
cost of
you
production.
also get paid more, right?
Yeah, because it takes longer, and the farmer gets to, the farmer gets more for it.
And how important are the USDA certificates?
The USDA does not certify grass-fed. They have an affidavit process where you file paperwork with them, but they don't have a certification process. We do. The USDA never sees the farm, never sees the animals. It's all done by paperwork. So we're the inspection service, and we're an independent agency. We're not part of the government. So we have inspectors who go to every farm at least once every 15 months. And the reason we do every 15 months is so that the inspector can see the farm at different times of the year. That's
Yes,
it.
yes, yeah. I heard some farmers from the U.S. complaining that some grass-fed animals, some grass-fed products, I should say, are tagged as made in the U.S., but they actually come from other countries. What do you know about that?
The way that the rules are written is that any foreign beef, grass-fed beef coming into this country, if it's repackaged in any way, let's just say it comes in one plastic and they fabricate it and put it in another package, it can be labeled product of the USA. We're not in favor of that. We don't think that's fair to the American farmer. And quite frankly, it's not fair to the farmer that raised it somewhere else. It should be labeled where it was raised. And that's hard to take for the American farmer, because it should be born here, raised here, harvested here.
Yeah, and that's interesting because in many countries, I was born in the deep south of Brazil, and now I'm living in Argentina. So it's a very cultural thing because what I know about cattle is that they eat grass and only grass. And in the United States, you have another conception of this. Do you agree that this is very cultural?
The Argentinian grass-fed beef that came in for many, many, many years was a wonderful product. I've eaten it in Argentina, and I think that it should be, when it comes to America, it should be labeled product of Argentina. Yes, it is cultural. Our system changed probably about 50 years ago to a more quote-unquote efficient system. Other countries are following suit and changing their production methods to the more efficient system, which is not culturally specific to Argentina or Brazil or anywhere else. And I think we should go back to that. I think it's better for the environment, it's better for the animal, and it's better for us.
And how do you see the current situation for cattle ranchers in the U.S. For production? Do you see a bad scenario, a good scenario?
Well, fortunately for the producers that we are working with, the local producers, they're seeing an uptick in their sales because of what's going on in the big processing meat plants. A lot of them have shut down temporarily or cut back. So in order to meet demand, some of these smaller producers and smaller processors are picking up the slack. And so they're working diligently to meet the demand that they need to. A lot of these small producers and processors were only processing maybe 3 or 4 days a week, maybe one shift. So they're adding more shifts, they're adding more workers, and they're aggregating supply through a network of farmers that they're working with to make sure that the consumer can still get the product that they need.
Tell us a little bit about your organization. If someone wants to join you, tell what do you think, what's your mission, anything you want to tell us about your organization.
Well, I'm very proud of it. We started the organization in 2003, and it's a producer run. All of our board of directors are producers. Our standards and certification are written by producers. We've been around almost 20 years now. We are USA only. We work with other countries around the world to make sure that their voice is heard, but we want an American producer to have his name on his product. So we've kind of been in this a long time, and again, we've grown from the first meeting was about 13 people, and now we're in the thousands. So we're adding members all the time. We not only do beef, but we do bison, we do goat, and we do lamb, we do pork. We also do dairy standards. So we're always busy doing something.
Do you have more members from some specific states, and is it more grown in some states than others? How does that work?
Well, the Southeast, of course, has a wonderful growing season with climates. The Midwest, of course, the West has a lot more land, so we have larger producers on larger tracts of land. California, of course, is a very large state, so it just varies. We don't really have deep pockets of anywhere. It's kind of geographic. The Northeast, there are a lot of smaller farmers, and they have a real direct relationship with a lot of their customers. So a lot of farmers markets and that kind of thing. So people who are in the rural areas seem to gravitate to us, so we can help them with help them get the word out about their products.
So you can help farmers who want to connect to final consumers.
Yeah, we're kind of a conduit. We don't do any direct marketing, but we have a website that has all of our producers listed on it. Because of what we do a lot of consumer education. So when people see our logo and our seal on packages or on somebody's product, then they know that that farm has been inspected, that they have walked the extra mile to make sure they're meeting our standards, so that the animals are 100% forage-based diet, no antibiotics, no added hormones, and no confinement. So that's very important to the consumer. They can find us, and that's important for anybody looking for good products.
And for you, what's the big challenge for the industry in the coming years?
Aggregating supply to meet demand in the retail market. And we're working on that right now, so we can bring farmers together. So some of these smaller farmers can grow together so that they can have enough product in one place to meet a retail demand.
Carrie, from the American Grassfed Association, thanks a lot.
Well, thank you, Luis. It was very nice to spend time with you today. I certainly appreciate it.